Here we are, high in the Tastil Valley. We're looking at these granites as they weather in place and note just the spheroidal shape, as well as the finer sands that are coming off of these. I'm going to pan around here, and you can see the grayer rocks in the background, and those are the schists, which really vary in fracture spacing, vary a bit in composition, but basically metapelites. They're of the Punta Vascana formation. In the foreground, which your eyes might have caught, is a classic Andean style structure. I have no idea how old it is, but we do see that it's absolutely filled with the poop of the vicuña. So I wonder if it's currently used as a bit of a stable, if they're herded, or if the vicuña are just purely wild, which they likely are, they're just using it as shelter. So animals repurposing old human structures. As I pan over to the left here, you can see these big granitic boulders, as well as these granitic hills over here in the background. And there we have cacti marching up the hills. We have in the foreground all of this grus, so the granitic remnants, these sands that form from individual mineral grains. And those sands are moving down this channel here. And the fact that all of this material, the granitic material, is really weathering in place into sand, and we can even just look down at my feet to see a bit of the fractures. And if I go close, to see the sandy material, which is still here, partially fine gravel that this is all turning into, right there. We can see that. And that might be why the channel is so much more filled with this Punta Vascana schist down below, because these sands might be transported higher in the flow and suspension perhaps, whereas the Punta Vascana clasts are carried down below. As we look at the hills in the distance, you can see evidence of landsliding. And these deep-seated landslides are what really excavate gravel by pulling it off the hills before it can go very far through the weathering process. And we see much of this in the Punta Vascana. And interestingly, we also see this closer unit, which is alternating red and gray bands. And this looks like it's all under some kind of fan. I'm really not sure what it is, if it's some younger unit or another part, perhaps, of the Punta Vascana, which would be my first guess. All right, so going over here, I'm just going to show you the knob behind me. It's a bit in the sun, but between this, the ground all around us, and this zone over to my right, I think it should be possible to appreciate some of the spheroidal weathering. So where water comes in along cracks in the granite, and by moving along the cracks can dissolve some of the minerals. And then once this dissolution happens, the remaining minerals are loose, and that running water can then physically remove them from the rock. And therefore we have this connection between weathering, so the sort of physical, chemical, biological processes that break down rocks in place, and erosion, the transportation of material away from that place, and the gradual lowering of the landscape. So we see these nice rounded hills and this river below us. I'll leave you at that for now.